Alright, I'm going to take this buttstock off and replace it with a expandable buttstock. I'm also going to put a single point sling adapter. I've got a couple of kinds, but I'm going to try this one here with the wings, even though it's much more difficult to install. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this buttstock off by unscrewing the Allen key and pulling it off the extension tube. Once the screw is removed, pulling the buttstock off of that extension tube is pretty easy. Just want to make sure you don't lose the spring that holds in the detent, holds in your retaining pin. You also, as you unscrew that extension tube from the receiver, you don't want to shoot the buffer tube retaining pin across the room. And I did that, and luckily I've got more springs. So pull the buffer out, finish unscrewing, and then I'm ready to start putting it back together. Alright, as you put your sling mount in place and you press it down, be very careful not to twist or kink or damage that detent pin spring. So I hold that plate in place, and then I thread in my new buffer tube, my expandable stock buffer tube, taking care not to cross thread anything because it's aluminum. It's pretty easy to do that with the fine threads. So I get it screwed in, started. Alright, once you start to get that extension tube started, you want to take your buffer retaining spring and that buffer retaining pin, that plunger, and you want to drop it inside your receiver, holding it down so you can continue to screw in your buffer tube until it covers the top of it, about a third or almost a halfway down, so that that buffer retaining pin does not fly out. Okay, and it's pretty easy. All right. Next, we're going to put in a block. This particular model that I'm using has a little metal pin that fits in between the buffer tube. There's a slot in the threads, and there's a slot in that plate so that it doesn't spin. Most other models have a metal tip that fits in the slot cut into your buffer tube, but because this has wings, if it had the slot, it wouldn't turn, it wouldn't fit right. That wasn't an easy thing to accomplish, but using some pliers I got it on. Alright, once everything is tightened, hand tight, and everything's together, I use a castle nut wrench, and I just tighten that castle nut down to keep everything nice and snug. And then all I have to do then is just insert my stock over the top of that extension, pretty easy, and put the gun back together. This wasn't a very hard project to do at all, and the single point slings didn't cost very much. Now, single point slings have their use, and I generally prefer a 2-point sling, but I wanted to try this out and use it. And I have to apologize, I wasn't really dressed for camera. This was just something that just sort of popped up when I had some pieces come in the mail. So I hope that was useful to you, and you have a great day.